Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Flame Swordsman Yugioh deck profile for March 2020. Following the Celtic Guardian deck, I want to follow up on the older Yu-Gi-Oh decks and make some more fun variants for a bunch of the different iconic monsters. This time following up with Joey Wheeler's Flame Swordsman. Funny enough, Joe used to summon this card out as a normal monster during the series. I think they actually even made it into a normal monster for a part of the original series, and it might have been a different kind of monster in the original game, but still a fusion monster. We have to work with the fact that it is a fusion monster to summon out for the TCG Yu-Gi-Oh! And I also want to focus on all the different summons you can make with the different Flame Swordsman monsters as well, including Dark Flare Knight, working with the Dark Magician support. It's a really fun deck. I'm really happy with the results and all the different fusion summons and special summons you can do. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. Now, Flame Swordsman is in the extra deck, so we'll get to the extra deck when we finish the main deck. But for the main deck, I'm running 3 blue Flame Swordsmen, just a sort of backup card. Once per turn during either player's battle phase, you can target one other warrior type monster you control. This card loses exactly 600 attack, and if it does, that monster gains 600 attack. And when this card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect, and sent to your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one fire warrior type monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. So the fire warrior type monster obviously is meant to be the Flame Swordsman. So after you use the effect of blue Flame Swordsman, you have the option to get back a Flame Swordsman, which you can easily summon out in this deck. So I like to run 3 of this card, just being another powerhouse warrior in the deck. Definitely does come in handy because we do have a pretty low monster count for the main deck, since we do rely on just a few particular monsters for our overall plays in the deck. But 3 blue Flame Swordsman definitely does help for the consistency of just being able to keep out our Flame Swordsman, which is one of our main go-to monsters in the deck. And as I spoke before, one of our other fusions to go for is Dark Flare Knight. So I am also running 3 Mirage Knight. This is the one you special summon out when Dark Flare Knight is destroyed. It cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by Dark Flare Knight, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. During damage calculation only, this card gains attack equal to the original attack of the opponent's monster it battled. And during the end phase of this turn, this card attacked or was attacked, banish this card. So it's just a powerhouse monster you get out if you attacked with Dark Flare Knight, or if it was destroyed, you have that option to summon out your Mirage Knight, which can be a bigger boss monster going up against your opponent, being able to attack over a bunch of other cards. I run 3 of them just so we have the option to special summon out multiples of this card, because we are able to get out multiple Dark Flare Knight in the deck as well. So you want to have options to go into these. I felt just one was a waste, because then there could be other times where you want to get out more Dark Flare Knights. So this definitely did help with those plays overall. And I am also running 2 King of the Swamps. Now, the only reason I have 2 is for the next card, just to go for a more fun variant to focus on some of the fusion plays for Flame Swordsman as well. But King of the Swamp can help substitute for one of the fusion materials for the correct fusion summon. So if you're one monster short for your Dark Flare Knight, King of the Swamp definitely does help, just being able to cover either Flame Swordsman or Dark Magician, whichever one you particularly need for that play, using the King of the Swamps. But for the more fun aspect, like I said, I'm running 1 Flame Manipulator and 1 Masaki, the legendary swordsman. So with this one, you can have these spots be taken up by an additional King of the Swamp if you didn't want to run either of these cards, or you can even do the reverse and add in 2 additional copies of Masaki and Flame Manipulator for King of the Swamp's replacement here. These are the 2 cards you need to summon out the Flame Swordsman with the normal type of fusion you were to do with Polymerization to summon it out. Joey never did this in the series. I believe he did summon Masaki in his first duel against Mai, but he never actually fused them together into Flame Swordsman. Joey's always just, summoned out Flame Swordsman as if it were a normal monster. But still, I like to run one of each of these for the fusion option. But King of the Swamp is definitely another option for the replaceable of these if you're 1 card off for that play for both of these monsters also. Like I said, it's more of a fun deck to get out Flame Swordsman, and definitely a lot of fun when you can successfully summon it through the proper means of the cards you have. And I also run 3 Dark Magician, just another important card of the deck. I know it's not really a Dark Magician deck, but you need the 3 Dark Magician just to help with the Dark Flare Knight play, being a option for the fusion material. And then if you have Dark Magician but you don't have Flame Swordsman, using the King of the Swamp for the other part can just help to get out your Dark Flare Knight onto the field. And it's also searchable with a couple other cards in the deck, and with some of the other fusion plays we're going for, which I'll show when we go over the spells. You can even get out other multiple cards to use with this one for your other plays for more of an aggressive style against your opponent with your different monsters also. And for the rest of the monsters, going off of the Mirage Knight play, just so you don't attack into anything dangerous against your opponent, I am running one of each of the Kaiju lineup. So Gameciel, Kumungus, and Godarla. So with these, you give it to your opponent, and then you can just attack into it with your Mirage Knight. Since Mirage Knight, when during damage calculation only, this card gains attack equal to the original attack the opponent's monster is battling. So a much safer play, and you can also get rid of pesky cards your opponent may have by giving them the Kaiju monster and then attacking over it with your Mirage Knight, or if they attack into it with the Kaiju, obviously, as well. If you didn't want to run the Kaijus, you can even bump up the numbers of Masaki and Flame Manipulator, or even put a 3rd copy of King of the Swamps, taking out one of the Kaijus and then adding in one of each of these as well for the additional number spots for the Kaiju monsters. But that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Instant Fusion. With this one, it is the best card to special summon out the Flame Swordsman, since you just pay 1,000 life points to special summon level 5 or lower fusion monster, which is your Flame Swordsman, to go into, and then destroy it during the end phase, but most of the time you're going to use it for the fusion play anyway, and also is counted as a fusion summon, so you can even special summon it back through other means, since it was successfully summoned using the instant fusion, so remember that also. 3 of this, since it is one of the most important cards in the deck to go for, so you definitely need the instant fusion for those plays. And then for more plays, like searching out the Dark Magician, I run 3 Summoner's Art. You just add a level 5 or higher normal monster from your deck to your hand. Like I said, this isn't a Dark Magician deck, but you still need that important card for your fusion play, so Summoner Art just helps to search out the Dark Magician. You're running 3 and 3 of this card. Otherwise, you can just use it for our next fusion option, which is the Fusion Recycling Plant, being the best way just to keep resources up, and then to also just rely on the cards we use to search out Polymerization. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card to add 1 Polymerization from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and once per turn during the end phase, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard that was used as fusion material for the fusion summon this turn, add to your hand. So you can recycle Dark Magician, you name it, any of the Flame Manipulator or Masaki. And I also run the 1 Terraforming, just because I didn't want to run 3 Fusion Recycling Plant, just because you can easily search it out. And other times I just have the Polymerization and don't even need the Fusion Recycling Plant, so ending up not drawing it can be another added bonus as well. So I'm okay with the 2 of numbers for Fusion Recycling Plant, and then just the 1 Terraforming as well. And speaking of the Polymerization, I do run 3 of this card. It's your main fusion go-to play, which the whole deck revolves around it. So you just need this for your summon of Flame Swordsman or Dark Flare Knight, or even some of the other fusion options I'm running in the deck, which we'll get to when we go over the extra deck. And just having this card searchable with the recycling options also. I thought of running Fusion Stage instead of Fusion Recycling Plant, but I still like the options for adding back resources, which can be a big help also. So I decided to stick to the field spell instead of the searchers, like Fusion Reserve. It could be another option for the trap lineup instead of the Fusion Recycling Plant. If you didn't want to run this, you could run 3 Fusion Reserve, which is the trap card that searches out the Polymerization and then adds back the resources as well, recycling the Polymerization from your graveyard to your hand. And once you get the big monsters on the field, being able to attack multiple times, I run 2 Defusion, just being able to defuse sometimes out of Dark Flare Knight. Let's say you don't want to go for the Mirage Knight play, but you can defeat your opponent much quicker, just defusing the Dark Flare Knight and going back into Flame Swordsman, and then also your Dark Magician. Can be a much better play and hit your opponent for a lot more damage as well, since the fact that Defusion is a quick play spell, and you can easily just activate this during the battle phase also. And needing plenty of special summoning just to stop some hand traps as well. 3 Call by the Grave always comes in handy, especially in these fun decks, just to make sure your fun special summons go off. This card stops hand traps, you name it, especially when you need those effects to resolve. This one definitely does help, and also stops some of your opponent's plays they may try to do against you also. And then for some of the one-ups for the spells, just 1 Reinforcements of the Army and 1 Monster Reborn. The plays for these are basically just to search out your Blue Flame Swordsman, or, you know, if you need to, your Masaki for that fusion search. And then the Monster Reborn to special summon back Flame Swordsman to the field can be a big help after you summon it out to the field also. And let's say you don't have the defusion option, or just another card to special summon it out. And then for the trap lineup, I am running 3 Solemn Strike and then the 2 Solemn Judgment, just to have some trap options. If you wanted to run the Fusion Recycling Plant, but just felt you needed more search as well for some of your cards, you can take out the Solemn Strikes and put in the 3 Fusion Reserves to this spot also. But that's just basically player preference at that point if you really want more search options to go for with the deck also. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. Your main go-to card, I've spoke about it long enough in the video, is Flame Swordsman. 3 of this card, it's like I said, your boss monster of the deck. And once again, just like Celtic Guardian, if anyone has a preference of which art you prefer, I really do love the original. The new one does look cool, but you can't beat, you know, the original art that Joey used. But 3 of this card, it has no effect. It's got okay attack stats, but it is your boss monster to go for with this deck. So you need the 3 of it, like I said, for all of your plays. Some of the stronger monsters we go for is the Dark Flare Knight, which I am running 2 of. You need Dark Magician and Flame Swordsman. You take no battle damage from battles involving this card. And when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 Mirage Knight from your hand or deck. So the fact that it be your hand or deck is just another added plus for this card being able to special summon it, even if you open up Mirage Knight in your hand. I have the 2 of it, but if you wanted to run 3, you can take out one of the other Link mobsters we run in the deck. But other than that, for some of the other fusion plays, I run 1 First of the Dragons. You need 2 normal monsters to make it, so this is where Flame Manipulator and Masaki, or even Dark Magician, for the extra recycle power, you do a Fusion Recycling Plant, definitely do come in handy. Just having this boss dragon monster as a backup adds to a little more of the playability of the deck, giving you more options to fusion summon into if you've already gone through all the Dark Flare Knight plays. And I also run the 1 Carbonala Warrior, so you have some more Link monster plays to go into with your instant fusions. Let's say you open up this, have another monster on the field, then you at least have some other Link monsters to summon out to the field. With some of them being 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Cross Sheep with the fusion plays especially. This definitely does come in handy for the level 4 recycle from your graveyard. 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, and I run 2 Doolittle Chimera. If you wanted to run the Fire Charmer Ablaze for this spot as well as one of the Doolittles, you can do that also, just to have more of a fire summon option along with the Link arrows. And also 1 Link Spider, going back to Flame Manipulator and Masaki, just an easy special summon onto the field for more Link plays. And 1 Nightmare Unicorn. I don't run any Link 4s in this deck. You don't really summon out too many monsters, so just having this option available is another added help for sure. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Definitely enjoy making these deck profiles. Looking to work on some other original monsters, you know, boss monsters. Hoping to do maybe an update to Summon Skull. You name it. If you have any other recommendations, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.